Sign in. Hello. Anybody out there? Can you hear me? All right, all right. I think I am live. Hello, hello. I'm Maya, and this is greenARTS. Welcome. Let's see here. I'm just trying to organize my desktop here so I can see the comments. Okay. Hello, welcome to greenARTS. This is the series for completionists. I'm going to show you what we've been working on. Here, I'll do it this way. So a couple of days ago, we actually finished up some of these cute little projects from my previous students. And I'm here again to do it with you. Hopefully we can find some peace in completing unfinished projects that have been left behind. And here are some of the other projects that I worked on off camera, which actually inspired me to do this stream. Such cute little projects that students have made. Unfortunately, I have lost touch with these students, so I cannot get them these projects back. And I've been holding on to them for like almost 5-6 years. And so I figured that I should just finish them because I can't just throw them out. And they're so sweet. And there's so many of them. This one I particularly like. Very sweet. And then look at this. A little gamer dude probably made this. I just finished it up by completing the whip stitch around the edge. Endless cute little things that I have completed. I did not start them. These were my students. And I've just been holding on to these projects for such a long time, and I decided I just need to finish them so that we can move on. And I probably will put these projects on my Etsy store, and whatever money I do get from them, I will probably put it into the interest of a student. So I'll probably give however many I can sell, I'll give a student a free either week at my camp or a free sign up for my after school classes. So that's basically it. Yeah, I did have a comment on my last stream of will I be giving these back to the students now that I've finished them? And sadly, I have lost contact with those students, so I'm not really able to do that. But I can complete them here with you now, and we can enjoy this together. So, let's see. I just want confirmation that I can be heard because last week, a couple of days ago, I did like 9 minutes of my stream on mute. So, if there's anybody out there, can you just let me know if you can hear me okay? Testing 1, 2, 3. And also the music. Is the music okay? All right. So I'm going to put these away. And we're going to pull out some lovely... I actually organized the other bin because I realized it was a little too hectic in there. So I actually organized some of these pieces that we could work on today. And if I get feedback from people in the chat, you can be part of the decision making on what we're going to make. And if not, I can just pick now. There's plenty to choose from. And then we'll just go from there. Right now, I have a couple of simple projects here. We've got a little donut that needs to be finished. I might even put some sprinkles on the top here. We have this bird that needs a beak and could be maybe incorporated into something else. Maybe this. I'm not sure. And then we have this lovely Harry Potter emblem, I think it's called. We still have to attach this H here. You see how the student sewed in all of these cute little, I don't even know what they're called, sigils? Something like that. All the characters for the different houses. And then this little H on the front. And then we have a back that we can sew it to. So I think we're going to work on this one today, definitely. And if we have enough time, I actually found this piece that is pretty much a hot air balloon ready to be put together too. So why don't we start on this one for right now? And as people come in, I will bring you in on the conversation of what to make, the decisions of what to make. Because I mean, I have so many little tiny cute things here. And I kind of want to know what you want me to make. So when you get here, definitely chime in. For now, I'm going to probably start on this, and then we'll work on this one. And then if we have any time, we'll work on some more. All right. So how are we doing here? Oh, yes, the bird on the flower piece, definitely. Okay. I'm definitely going to bring that one in here then. And we'll work on this a little bit later. And figure out if we can't get a little piece of beak or something to put on there. I haven't fleshed it all out yet. So we're going to put this on the back burner for the moment, set it aside, and we're going to work on this one because I have all the pieces and I'm ready to go. Okay, so Gonna set this aside. I don't think I'm gonna pin this H on because it's a little bit thin. Well, maybe I'll just do one pin right in the middle. Yeah, just like that to hold it in place while I'm working on it. And then I have this lovely wad of thread. I am compelled to try to use some of this thread. I don't want to throw it out. So I'm going to pick a lovely red out of here. That'll work. Set that aside. And as I said, embroidery thread comes 6 strands spun together. And for most projects, I only use 2 strands at a time, depending on what I'm doing. If I'm filling in a space with the thread, then I will definitely use all 6 strands. But when I'm just sewing on little pieces, I like to use 2 strands because it's easier to manage and it's easier to pull through the fabric. And since I work with younger students, it's easier for them. All right. I'm just making sure these 2 pieces stay together, so I kind of run my hand on them a little bit. To make my knot, I'm just going to do a crisscross over the tip of my finger, and then I'm going to roll it off and pull. And that's my knot. Wherever you do the cross in the thread, like if I did it in the middle, then the middle is where my knot would be. So always do your knot on the end. All right. And then how I thread my needles is I put the thread at the very tip and I pinch, here, let's see if I can get focused. I pinch my fingers together and then I blossom my fingers. Pinch, blossom, pinch. I put the eye of my needle right above the thread and then I blossom the thread right through the needle. Pinch, blossom. Anyway. Okay, let's get started. I am going to use the whip stitch to, no, not the whip stitch, the running stitch to do this. So I'm going to come up from behind. So I hide my knot behind. And I'm just going to do the running stitch all along this H to make it stay in its place. I did 2 stitches on the end, and then I'm going to come right down the middle. And notice my thumb is basically pointing exactly to where I want to come out. And that's how my hand behind the project knows where to come, because the thumb is having a conversation in my brain with my other hand that I cannot hear. But after sewing for a while, your hands know what to do if you just put your thumb where you need your stitch to go. Because this, normally after a couple of stitches, I would take a pin out, but because this is a little bit wonky and thin, I'm just going to leave that pin in so we can make sure to get this exactly where we want it, so it's not wandering on us while we're sewing. So how's the music? Is the music okay, not too loud? Or do you hear the music at all? I think this is one of the projects that I'm not going to put too much stuffing into. I want to make sure it doesn't have, that it's, oops, hold on. That it's not too poofed out, right? All right. So let's see. Let's make sure this is all lined up. I'm going to do a couple of stitches on the bottom. So I have not seen a lot of Harry Potter, but I have a lot of Harry Potter fans as students. And so I actually get to do a lot of Harry Potter stuff. Okay, not too bad. I'm going to pop over to the other side on the back. Just trying to make sure it's all lined up before I sew it in. Excellent. If there's anyone out there that can give me a thumbs up on the volume of my voice and the music, that would be great. Since this is my second time streaming, I'm sure I'm going to be making some mistakes. So I'm trying to avoid making the same mistakes twice. Well, I hope you are enjoying this series as much as I am. I know that a lot of you will probably watch it back in VOD. Oh yeah, I was going to post my greenARTS Galore Facebook page, so in case you guys are crafting along with me, you could share your crafts with me too, because I'd love to see them. I just love crafts altogether, so seeing anyone's crafts is fun for me. Ooh, I think we could take that pin out now. Looking good. Here we go. Coming to the end of this side of the H, and then I'll just attach the middle part, and we'll be ready to attach both ends to each other. All right, and then a couple of stitches down the center of the H. Ooh, and my thread is getting a little bit short, so I gotta watch out for that. Let's see, there we go. All right. Now we're gonna flip it over. The back sides always look so messy, but I kind of like it because it's the chaos behind the beauty. So I've just finished my stitch right here. You can see my thread, and I'm going to go to the closest stitch, right? And I'm going to make a little loop, and I'm going to go through that loop, and that's going to create a knot. I'm going to go underneath that stitch again, and I'm going to create another knot. All right. Once I've done 2 knots, because I usually like to do 2 knots, the second one ties in the first one. And now we have this beautiful, what would you call it? Like a shield of all the houses, the Harry Potter houses. And now, I don't really think there's much more decoration to do on this. They have their little eyes and the animals. So I think I'm just going to line this up as best I can. Put a couple pins in it. Let's see, and then again, I'm going to think about how I want to stuff this and how I want to have access to these little bits to put fluff in. So I think I'm going to start on the bottom, and I'm just going to work my way all the way around and then come to here, and then I'm going to leave that spot on the bottom to stuff. I think that's the best plan of action. And you can see that it's not exactly even, but this is how the child designed it and cut it out. So we're respecting that. So now you can be involved in this if you want would you like to pick the color that we sew this together with? I'm trying to think what would look good with that. Maybe, honestly, maybe a blue? Or we could just go yellow. Or we could just stay with the yellow. What do you think? Does anyone have a preference out there? I think I'll do yellow in this situation if nobody wants it to be different, because maybe it'll just show up a little less, and then you can really just focus on the symbols and not the stitches. So we'll save the blue for another time. Again, I split my thread and making my knot. All right. And when you're sewing, always make sure that the end with the knot is your long piece and your short piece is here. I call this the tail. Just make sure you don't lock up your tail in your stitches, so that if we do make any mistakes, we can take that stitch out and pull that last stitch out. All right, so for the beginning, I always like to slide my needle in and go into the inside so I can hide the knot. And then we are going to do the whip stitch along the edge here. And then whenever I want to change direction, I usually just change the direction of the project in my hand. And sometimes you do have to fold the project up to kind of get the grip you want. And then also you can use your thumb and finger to kind of make sure that the edges are lining up, because the better the edges line up, the better it'll look where the seam is. Yeah. It's really such a cute design. I really appreciate it. Most excellent. And again, changing my direction as I change the edge that I'm working on. And here's a trick that a lot of people don't know. Like when you get to a little V here, a lot of times students will just jump over to the other side. And you really just want to make sure you get one stitch straight into that, I don't know what you would call it, like the valley of the V. That way you don't have a thread stretching from one part to the other. All the little tricks. I hope you don't mind if I share them with you, because that's kind of how I roll. And also I can field any kind of sewing questions that you may have, or you can just tell me whether I'm doing a good job or not. Any interaction will be great, because that's how the algorithms find us, apparently. All right. Getting this done. And this is actually a pretty big piece, so it's probably going to take me maybe 3 threads to get all the way around. Uh-oh. Okay. So when your thread starts falling off of your needle, that is a sign that it is time for you to tie your knot. So to tie my knot on the edge, I'm going to make a stitch just like I normally would, like a whip stitch. But before that loop closes, I'm actually going to go through that loop. And I'm going to try not to get my tail stuck in it. See, so it looks like a stitch, but it's actually a knot. And I do two right on top of each other. And then to hide my thread, because you can't cut right next to the knot or it'll just pull out later. So what I like to do is I like to just push my needle down into my project and pull the extra thread in. Now I can cut this thread. Oops. But I won't have this little thread piece hanging off the front, right? It's tucked in and hidden. So let's continue. Is everyone having a good day today? Everyone had their coffee already? I am still working on my first cup. In fact, let me take a sip. So you'll notice that my drinks are on the back counter. I am not allowed to have drinks on my desk because I always spill them. So my drinks will always be on the table or the counter behind me because I cannot be trusted to not knock over my drink on my table. So, all right, we're back to it. Starting on the front sheet first, so I can hide my knot on the inside. And then just gonna keep on sewing the whip stitch. How are we doing, everybody? Let's see, we are 30 minutes almost in, and no one's complaining about the sound or the music, so that's a good thing. Sipping on your second cup, Lisa? Excellent. I love it. I am definitely having a good time putting these together. Such satisfaction, you know. These projects have been sitting on my shelf, and I just really wanted them to be finished and loved by someone. And as I was saying earlier, the proceeds of selling these student projects will go to a scholarship probably for a student for my camp or my after school classes. So I think instead of giving them back to the student, it'll help another student, and they get to be finished. So it's like a win-win-win in my mind. So notice how my tail is getting closer to my project. So I just loosen my grip on the eye of the needle, and it'll make my tail a little bit shorter so I can continue sewing. And changing the angle. Yep, I was right. Look at that. I'm already running out of thread. Pulling it over a little. And why don't we tie off here? So again, making a stitch, waiting for the loop to get smaller, and then I'm going to go through that loop, give it a good tug, and then do another stitch, go through that loop, stick my finger in, oh, pulled off. Hide my stitch on the inside. Boop. There we go. And then I can trim this. And push it in. All right. 2/3 the way done. I'm on my 3rd thread. Pinch and blossom my thread right onto my needle. Making sure my tail is halfway. Gonna slide my needle on the inside and hide my knot. Okay. Hey Lisa, can you hear the music at all? I don't know if it's loud enough or not. Let's see here. Wow, this is just such a long time coming for me. To see this project being finished is really bringing a lot of joy to my heart. And the student put so much work into this. And I think finishing it gives it the respect it deserves. All right. Coming to the end here. We're going to get ready to stuff in a few minutes. Let's see, we got some corners we got to get in here. We don't want our stuffing falling out of these little corners. The fabric is a little bit uneven here, so I'm kind of having to put my needle in at an angle to make sure I capture both pieces of fabric. Nice. So as I was saying, I just think we're going to put a little bit of stuffing in here just to kind of make it nice and fluffy, but not put too much stuffing in it or it'll distort the shape of the of this shield, if that's what it's called. A shield. Oh, you can't hear the music. Okay. Let me turn it up a little bit and see if you can hear it then. Let's see. How's that, Lisa? Do you hear it now? It should be just subtle in the background. Silence I hear on streams is not looked upon very well. And also, actually, I've understood that listening to a stream with headphones on or listening to a stream just regular speakers, it can there can be a different experience with the sound. All right. Well, I did not have enough thread to finish the project, but I am going to tie it off and I'm going to stuff it. And then we're going to do one more piece of thread to finish it up. Beautiful. Push that in. Okay. Time for stuffing. Oh my goodness. Look at that. I love it. So I'm not going to just push this whole big piece in there. What I'm going to do. Oh, okay. You can hear the music, Lisa? Excellent. Is it a good volume for you? I'm going to push the stuffing into all these little points and details. Just small bits at a time. Make sure we're getting all the little corners so all the details are showing up. Get it in these little corners. Oh my goodness, this is really coming to life before our very eyes. Let's see if I can get a little bit of stuffing in these little points. Let's see. Excuse me. Get some stuffing. I need a smaller point. Maybe a scissor. Just to get a little bit of stuffing in those points. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it. All right. A little bit more stuffing in the middle. Just a little poofy, not too poofy. Kind of like quilt batting, you know. I don't want it to be fat. I just want it to be soft. And just kind of feel around, see if there's any spots that are a little bit more dense than the others. I think that's pretty good, actually. Just pop that in there. I'm going to squeeze it shut. I'm going to put a pin in it. All right, and then let's pick one more thread of yellow. And we'll get this going. All right, I'm going to slide my needle onto the inside. Hide my knot. Get in there. There we go. Actually, I'm going to shorten this. Ooh, I don't know if you can hear my gardener. Well, not my gardener, my neighbor's gardener outside. Hopefully the mic is not picking it up. Or maybe the music is drowning it out. I was trying to pick the best days to do this streaming because my office is right on the street. So I get a lot of noise from the street. But that's where my office is, so that's what we do. I think Tuesdays and Thursdays mornings are the best in our neighborhood because there aren't as many things going on, like trash pickup and other stuff. All right. And we are done with this one. Oops, what's going on? There we go. I'm going to tie my knot twice. Oops. Take my pin out, and then where my thread is, I'm just going to bury my needle into the project, and I'm going to pull it someplace else out. So when you finish the project, this is how you hide your thread on the inside, so you don't have a little pesky thread hanging off the edge. And there you go, nicely stuffed. A cute little Harry Potter shield. Somebody will absolutely adore this. I adore it, even if I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. But I can appreciate it for what it is, and it's beautiful. All right, so why don't we start another project? And I was wondering what we could do with this project. Usually it's like a little pillow. Oh, we got a little heart here too. A little stray heart. How can we incorporate this bird? There isn't a lot of room on this edge, though he could just be like hanging out with the flower, maybe overlapped a little bit. Let's get a beak and see if that'll work. Doo-doo-doo. What do you think? I've got a couple of different colors for a beak. I've got the bright yellow, and I got that kind of like mustard yellow. Neither one of them match this yellow, so it kind of works. Maybe the brown one? Oh, a cute purse. Okay, okay. You got to jump. Maybe I'll make this one another day when I have the idea fleshed out a little bit more. Thank you so much, Lisa, for your feedback. I appreciate it. Yeah, let's hold on this one because it still has to be worked out. I mean, I could just sew it like that and it could just be a cute little pillow, or maybe even a pin cushion for another sewer. So yeah, we're going to hold off on this one until we have it more fleshed out. And then we can work on another piece, which I believe is going to be this lovely, I'm going to put this up here, this lovely piece here, which is a hot air balloon. All the pieces are cut out already. And let's piece all this together and see what we had going on. So these are usually the folders that I have the project students in, so I keep them every week. So this one, luckily, all the pieces were still together in that folder. So let's see, we got the T on here, which they did a great job. I guess they were just finishing up the T. Oh, yep, I see we got a couple more stitches we have to do here. And this is going to be the back of it. Now, in contrast to the shield, this one will probably want to stuff a lot, so it looks like a balloon. And then it looks like this is the basket underneath. And these are the little ropes that hold it on to the hot air balloon. And this might have been just a little leftover cheek from some character. I'll put it back here. Okay. So first, why don't we just finish up this T? just a few stitches to finish that up. We're going to go to the back. We're going to tie it off. 2 knots. All right. So I think what we shall do is, this is supposed to be a basket. So I thought it might be nice to maybe do like a, I don't know, a crisscross pattern across the basket. Let's see what we can do with this thread here. Oh, is it 2? It's 3. That's okay, because we're going to do a little pattern. So we'll let it be 3. So when I think of a pattern for the wicker basket, maybe it'll be, why don't we just go corner to corner and we'll just kind of do a diamond pattern, but we're going to use the whip, not the whip stitch, the back stitch. Can you see what I'm doing here? The thread's kind of light. So the back stitch is very much like the running stitch, except instead of me continuing forward, I'm going to go back into the same hole that I finished that last stitch in. And as I do that, it creates a solid line. So I am visualizing a line from this corner to this corner with my eyes. And I am going to try to sew some kind of wicker basket type pattern on here. We'll see. At least crisscross. Can you see okay? See how that creates a line all the way across? There we go. So now I will come down here and I will try to go all the way up to the other corner. I'll make like this little crisscross, and then we'll come in and we can see if we can do more crisscrosses. So it looks like a woven basket. Ooh, this song seems loud. I'm just going to tap it down one. So let's see how this is looking. And I think I'll only put the pattern on the front, just like the pattern is only on the front piece, and we'll let the back pieces be a little bit plain. There we go. We've got our little crisscross there. I'm going to tie off, get more thread, and continue those crisscrosses until it looks like a woven basket. At least that's what I'm going for. I'm just going to weave my thread into the previous stitches so that when I do cut my thread, it's not close to the edge and sticking out and causing problems. So let's see. Okay, I think I need to get a little bit more thread for that one. Well, it's not a perfect match. Let's see. Is that a yellow? Could that be a yellow? Let me see if I can find a thread close to it. That's long enough. Nope, you're short. Ooh, these little butter yellow ones. Okay, this one of these must be it. Yeah. Oh, much better match. Okay. So in a few minutes, I am going to take a break, just like less than 5 minutes. Get a glass of water, get up and walk around, maybe use the restroom. And in that moment, maybe you can do the same. We've been sitting for an hour, almost. Okay, continuing on with our little crisscross pattern. When you're pulling the thread too, just make sure you're not pinching the fabric. Like if you pull it too tight, it'll start to make the fabric like pucker. So you just want to make sure your stitches are nice and flat and not puckering the fabric. Oop, can I get there all the way to the edge? Maybe. Poke it through. There we go. Oh, I think it's starting to appear, our little pattern. I'm going to start on this side and go up. All right. Getting there. And I'm going to come from this side. I'm going to go down. I think this will be the last one, but we'll see if it needs another. Notice how I keep on pulling on the fabric. The felt will bend and kind of pucker a little bit if I don't keep on adjusting. Oh, you know what? That last stitch is not exactly in the right spot. So I'm just going to take that stitch out and we're going to redo it, just that one. That's the good thing about having a tail on your thread. You can always pull the needle off and start again. All right, let's see. So yeah, much straighter that way. There we go. Getting a nice basket pattern. I think I have one side left to do. Yep. I'm going to do one more line here, and then I think we'll be complete. Are there any lurkers out there today that want to pop in and say hello? So I know you're there. I know I lurk a lot on streams. Don't think I have much to say, but a nice hello always helps. All right, look at that. Such a simple little pattern, but I think it makes a great impact for our little hot air balloon. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to find the closest stitch and I'm going to create my loop, go through my loop and give it a good tug. Go underneath the stitch and go through the loop again and give it a good tug. And again, I'm just going to kind of weave my extra thread just through those stitches so that I don't have a little thread hanging off the edge, kind of like this one. See, from the knot. That won't bother me much. I'll push it in when we do it. Okay. Ooh. Well, I think we are at a point where I'm going to take just a 5-minute break, maybe less than 5 minutes. I just have to get up, walk around for a little bit, and then we're going to continue sewing this, okay? I'm loving what we're doing so far. How about you? And if you're watching this as a VOD, you can definitely answer me with a yes, I do like what you're doing, or no, it's absolutely horrible. Anyway, I am going to put this on break and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. Hello. Just making sure I have my mic on. Okay, so the next step here, why don't we sew these two pieces together, but we'll leave the top open so we can slide those two purple pieces in. So I'm going to pin this. And we're going to find a thread, which is a nice match. Let's see how many threads we have here. Break it down to 2. right. Pinching my thread and blossoming the thread into the eye of my needle. And we're going to slide the needle in between and start our stitch right on the edge. Often you'll see that I use the tip of my needle to just push the thread, or when I'm stuffing and having to sew it shut, I will also use my needle to kind of push the stuffing back in before I do the stitch. So right here we got the whip stitch on the edge of the project here. Turning the corner. Oh, see, we got some threads here at the edge. Just want to push in so they're hidden under our stitches. Lovely. Notice the end of my thread is getting close to the project, so I just loosen my grip on the thread and pull extra out. Continuing around the other corner. Making my knot. All right. And now I have this little basket, which I'm going to put a little bit of fluff in. I will call this fluff or stuff. It's just the way I am. Let's see how much we can get in there without being too big. Ooh, that's kind of nice. Makes it look a little bit more rounded. I like it. Let's just kind of push some of that off the edge. There we go. Making it a little bit cleaner. And then I would like to trap these little purple pieces in there. Let's see. So very much like we did the ice cream popsicle stick, I'm going to continue doing the whip stitch around here. Oops. But I'm going to put my needle through the purple. You can see that, through the purple, and then into the basket. We'll get 3 nice stitches in there. So it's kind of like the whip stitch. It looks like the whip stitch. I don't know if you would call it the whip stitch still, if you're going through a piece. But now this will be held on very nicely. Okay. And then we are going to go ahead and stitch across the top for a few stitches. And then see about our other little purple piece we want to stuff in there. Down there a little bit. Oops. All right. So let's get that in there. going to go down and then into the purple. And down into the basket, into the purple, down into the basket, and one more into the purple, just to make sure it stays. And then we're going to tie it off. Waiting for my loop to get small, and then I go through that loop. One more time. And then I'm going to find a spot and I'm going to push my needle through my piece so that when I cut my thread, it won't be sticking off the side of the project. All right. Here we go. We've got our little basket. And that is going to get trapped into here. Oh my goodness. That looks pretty cute, right? And then if I'm not mistaken, the student wanted to also hang this. So I think I might do a loop up on top. Let's see what ribbons I might have for that. Not too many appropriate ones. There's this. What do we got here? Maybe this will work. It's just some gold thread, which we can tie a knot into. Oop, hold on. Please cooperate. There we go. So we get a nice knot in there. And then we will trap that knot in here at the very top. So it can be an ornament or you can hang it in your window, however you need to do it. All right, good deal. So let's see, next plan of action will be to start sewing this together. And I'm thinking that I'm going to start here and I'm going to work all the way down because I want to be able to stuff this. And then I'm going to come back up and then we're going to stuff. And then we're going to pop that in there. And then we're going to finish sewing it up. And I can't forget to add that at the end, at the bottom. So let me just pin these two together. And I'm thinking we're going to go with red. I think this is red. Red enough. And as I was saying before in my first stream, once there's more people in here in chat, you guys will be able to be involved in picking and choosing the materials that I use. At least we'll give it a chance. Sometimes it's more fun to put a contrasting color than a matching color. All right, so I'm going to start just next to where we're going to put in the hook. Pushing my knot on the inside. And using the whip stitch to go all the way around. So if you want, you can just have me playing in the background, or you can get your crafts out and craft with me, or you could just watch and craft vicariously through me. I know I watch a lot of painters and crafters and do the same. So creative, so many beautiful creative minds. So here we are coming up to the bottom, and I want to make sure that I don't forget to add our basket. Ooh, my phone is going off today. You keep on hearing the buzzes. I put on vibrate, but it doesn't seem to be very quiet. All right, it is now time for us to put our beautiful little purple I don't know what you would call them, ropes to hold this basket on the balloon. It's pitched in a little bit, you know. I think I'm going to take out these stitches and just move it over a little bit. Yeah. So then these side stitches will actually also be in the purple. Right there on the edge. There you go. Okay. Oops. Fell off. There you go. Come on. So I decided to move the purple strips just out a little bit because it was pinching in and I didn't like the way it looked. But hopefully we'll have enough space here. Oops. Got my needle in between the threads. There we go. All right. And I'm going through the purple, coming up through the red, and going through the purple again. And then I can do a regular whip stitch here. And then lay this down, open this up, pop that in there. And pinch it very tightly between my fingers so it does not move on me. There we go. All right. So as soon as we are done with this thread, which we are coming up on the end of, I think I've lost my tail, which does happen. Just pull at your thread on either side and it'll come undone, or get untrapped, I should say, not come undone. All right, let's finish sewing this purple part on, and then we're going to tie this off. Push our needle through and out someplace else. All right, so we're going to sew to about here, and then I want to make sure that I stuff this part. Little things like, you know, narrow parts like arms and legs and ears. If you're making an animal, you always need to kind of think about how you're going to stuff that part and kind of leave the open space a wider space, and so you can push stuffing into these little bits. Sliding my needle in between to push that knot inside. Okay. Music was getting a little bit loud and intense. Not quite the vibe that I'm going for. All right. Making sure I'm going through both pieces. Sometimes if they're not lined up right, you'll like go through the top piece and not the back piece. And that's a potential spot where stuffing can fall out. All right. So let me take the needle out. I'm going to get a little fluff. Just a small piece. And then we're going to want to push it down into this recess. There we go. Let me get another pencil. I'm afraid I'm going to lose this eraser in my project, so I'll just take it off. There we go. Put a little bit more in. All right. Let's continue on with the sewing on the edge here. And I'm pretty sure this red thread's going to get us all the way to the end, so that's good. Let's get a little bit more stuffing in the top here. And also get our little hanger right at the tip there of the yellow. All right. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use our needle to push in the fluff. Let's see if I can just, so right around that needle, shouldn't be in my way. Here we are coming up to the hanger, the little ribbon. So you want to go on one side of it, you want to go through it, right? So it locks it in. And then you want to go on the other side of it. 3 whip stitches. Oops. Oh, lost a thread here. last stitch on the outside of it. And that should hold it in. Let's get rid of this. Tying my knot. And then pushing it down. All right. Push the stuffing back up to the top a little bit, and here we go. Another cute little project finished. I love it. Two great projects. Let's see. So we've got about 35 minutes left. So I'm trying to think of something a little bit simple that we can make. So let me just pull out the box. Let's see. Maybe we finish up this donut. What do you think? And I think I'm going to give it some colorful sprinkles on it because that's what I like to do with the donuts. So this is a time when we would use the embroidery thread at full strength. So let me pick a couple of colors to go with this. Let's pick orange sprinkle. If there's anyone out there who would like to try to guess what colored sprinkles I'm going to use. Let's see, one more color sprinkle. What do you think? Should we do blue? Nah, no blue. Let's just do red. So we're going to do a couple of sprinkles on this, and for the sprinkles I'm going to use full strength of the thread, which means all 6 strands. So it will be a little bit harder to pull through the fabric, but it'll make nice little sprinkles. So this student already started sewing it together, but what we're going to do is we're just going to reach in here and try to do a couple of sprinkles. So when you're doing a sprinkle, it's good to have them the same size, usually, right? You kind of determine the size of your sprinkle. But then the trick is to have them going in different directions. So it looks like somebody haphazardly threw them onto your piece. So that's kind of the trick. And I am just using the running stitch. I'm just not doing it in a straight line. Let's see if I can, trying to not sew through both pieces. So I have to kind of stick my finger in here to catch that next stitch. All right. It's going to be sparse with each color because I'm going to be putting in 3 colors. And I try to change the direction of the sprinkle every time so that it's looking haphazard, which, believe it or not, is actually kind of challenging to make things look random, believe it or not. As humans, we like to make patterns, which makes sense because patterns make you feel comfortable. Patterns are predictable. So doing something that is random, you kind of have to really think about it, you know, and make sure each piece you're choosing a different direction to make your sprinkle. All right. I don't know how well I'm doing that, but I'm trying to make it random. There we go. Do another piece up here. Maybe we'll do like 2 pieces right next to each other. Oop. And then maybe 1 here. So you don't have to do a lot of sprinkles with one color because we're going to use 2 more colors to fill in that space. So here we go. Tying that off. Boop. Cutting. And then let's pick our next color. I'm going to do orange. Oops. How's everyone doing out there? It's awfully quiet. All right. And I'm just going to start putting in some random sprinkles. Again, trying to make sure that my needle is going in different directions so that we can make really nice random sprinkles. And push one there. Make one here. Gotta stick my finger in here to catch the end of the needle so it doesn't go through the back. Get another one over here. Pop there. Boop. Trying to find the empty spaces to put the sprinkles. And the great thing about putting these sprinkles on is it actually attaches that brown piece better. So let's see, let's have one come really close to this other sprinkle because, you know, random. Okay. Coming to the end of our orange. And why don't we do 2 orange sprinkles right next to each other? Oh my gosh. 2 orange sprinkles right next to each other. Oops. Let's make it so. There you go. It does look random. Okay, let's see. Let's tie this off on the inside. Oops. It's okay. All right. There we go. Now, our green sprinkle. It's going to pop, but that's okay. Right. Yeah, this one's definitely going to pop more than the others, but that's okay. It's going to make it dynamic. Dynamic and lovely. Keep on getting this extra thread locked in there. Let's see. Okay. And again, just trying to make it as random as possible. And notice I'm systematically working around the donut because you don't want to like do a sprinkle here and then do a sprinkle here and then do a sprinkle here and do a sprinkle here because it's going to waste all that fabric on the back side. Right now you can see I'm just working my way around it while trying to stay random. Oops. Okay, let's get one going a different direction now. Okay, getting to the end. I really think that the green made this so like colorful and fun. I'm gonna do another one over here. Yep, and one here. Running out of fabric or thread, and then one down in here. All right. And now I can tie this off. Going underneath the stitch. And going through the loop, if it lets me. Well, we don't have to worry about it being too messy on the inside. It usually looks like absolute chaos on the inside, but on the outside it looks lovely. So now I'm thinking this one thread that they did here actually is a running stitch, and it needed to be a whip stitch. So I am actually going to take this stitch out and make it a running whip stitch, which will be fine. It'll make it feel better. The running stitch is not really good for edges because it doesn't allow the stuffing to go all the way to the edge of your project. So this will be a better donut because we pulled out that center piece. So let me get a brown piece and we're going to sew that center hole up again. And I am going to do it with just 2 strands. Oops, I got all tangled. I'm going to do it with 2 strands because it's easier to pull through the fabric. And I am going through 4 layers of fabric. So the more layers of fabric, it is actually a little bit, it offers more friction, you know. But this will work for us for this. Okay. But first, hold on, I'm going to drink. Ooh, all this talking makes me thirsty. Okay. So on the inside, you want to bend the donut so you can see, oh, actually it's not 4 pieces, it's 3 pieces. You got the back piece, the top piece, and then the icing. So you want to connect all of those up with a nice little whip stitch around the center here. It's best to do the center hole first, and then you can go around the edge. And like all the decorations, like the sprinkles and all that, that should have been done before we started attaching it. But maybe the student it wasn't the original plan of the student to put sprinkles on this. But I like to put sprinkles on my donuts because it makes them more colorful and more festive. And since I'm finishing these projects, I'm going to be adding a little extra flair to the ones that I think need it. All right. It's a quick sew all the way around the center. And going through the loop, do another stitch, go through the loop, and then as usual, I'm going to open up my project and I'm going to push the needle and the thread to the inside, so I don't have any loose threads hanging off my project. There we go. It's looking good. So when making a donut, because we don't have super long fingers, we have to stuff as we go along. So let me grab a little stuffing. I think I might just have enough stuffing here to finish it up. And we're going to push this stuffing into the parts that have already been sewn. Yeah, see how the whip stitch allows it to get very fluffy in the middle here because it's going from edge to edge. If we kept that original a running stitch, the stuffing would have only come to here, and then it would have been flat on the inside. So that's just a little trick that I've learned over the years, that the whip stitch is the best for the edges. Okay, looks like we have yellow here to finish the edge. So because we're stuffing this as we're going along, I'm gonna do about an inch or an inch and a half of sewing, and then I'm gonna stuff. Sew, stuff, sew, stuff. So pinching it between my fingers. I'm gonna go ahead and do the whip stitches till my thread gets short, which we're getting there soon. I'm gonna tie off. I can see that when I'm sewing with the same colored thread, it's not as easy to see. So maybe I will start sewing with more contrasting threads so you guys can see it. And contrasting threads do look good on projects. Just makes them pop out a little bit more. Okay, let's get more yellow. More yellow thread. Because I started this with yellow, I'm going to finish it with yellow. But for future projects, I think I will use more contrasting colors because I think that's more interesting for you to see. And let's put a little bit more stuffing in. And so, starting on the inside first, hiding the knot. And here we go. And we're off to the races. Let's stop and stuff. I get so focused on the sewing, sometimes I forget to stop. Yep, let's stop and stuff. Watching this donut come to life before our very eyes. And pinch between your fingers and continue the whip stitch. Do 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 do. It would be weird if you couldn't hear the music and I was singing along with it. But I did have to turn it down just a little bit. I got it a little too intense for a minute there. Do, 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 do. Okay. Let's go ahead and stuff some more. Notice I do kind of make smaller pieces to put in there. No use stuffing a really big piece in there and having trouble. And then as I stuff, I'm just kind of trying to feel for evenness. You know, you don't want it to be lumpy. Or at least I don't want my donut to be lumpy. All right, continuing on. You can see okay, I hope. Yeah, sometimes the edges don't line up perfectly, and you can just adjust that with your finger, moving back and forth, like that, or this. All right, let's put more stuffing. Oh, we're almost done. Ooh, this is feeling good. Let's see, I think we will have enough thread to finish, so I'm happy about that. Let's do a couple more stitches and we'll put more stuffing in. Oh, you know what? Let's not make our hole too small. All right, I think we have just enough stuffing to make it feel good all the way around. Yeah, cool. Oops, my needle fell off. Let's see if I can finish this with this needle length. Yeah, I should be able to. Going ahead and just pushing some of that fluff out of the way with my needle, pushing it down into the project. And then coming around to finish it up. Oh my gosh, just enough thread. All right, this is my knot. Coming through. There we go. One more knot. Turning my needle around and going through the hole. And then I'm going to take my thread. I'm just going to push it right back down into the project. Pull it out someplace else. Pull it tight and cut it. And then it gets hidden inside the project. All right, a donut. So here we go. Second stream, 3 awesome little projects. Wow, that was pretty awesome. What do you think? I've really been enjoying this. And we got 3 more awesome little projects to show for it, which I love. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I hope this is, hitting that spot for the completionists out there, that these beautiful little projects got finished with all of their beautiful little detail, and even some that we added. And this can be hung, right? And this little basket will dangle underneath the hot air balloon. So, thank you so much for joining me. We only have a few minutes left. If you found this enjoyable and you'd like to support me, you could support me by subscribing and also maybe hitting the like button, and comments always help also. So I hope you enjoyed today. This has been a pleasure for me. If you're interested in some of these projects in the future, I will be putting them on my Etsy store, which should be in the description. What else? Pretty much just thank you so much for coming. I'm so grateful that I get to come here and craft with you and finish up these projects and give them their day, their limelight. I don't know how the saying goes. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I'm Maya. This is greenARTS. And I hope you join me on my series that is the Completionist series. And I am on YouTube Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 a.m. to 11. And I hope you join me. I'll see you next time. Okay? Thank you. Bye-bye. See you later.